London Real, sponsored by Bulletproof Coffee.
I got to do Kim Dotcom in New Zealand.
Tell me about that.
It was incredible. I was doing the festival. He's a guy that I find very interesting. And I knew about his story. The FBI and the New Zealand Army had raided his home the year before, and that was on worldwide news. I was being interviewed on Radio New Zealand, or New Zealand Radio, whatever it's called, their state-run, their government, whatever, I don't know, I guess like the NPR, BBC of New Zealand.
Okay.
And this woman asked me, what's the one thing you want to do in New Zealand while you're here? And I said, I know it sounds silly, but I'd like to interview Kim Dotcom for my podcast. I think he's demonized in the American media, and I think he's a really interesting character, and I don't think that he's been properly portrayed. And I kind of think he's a cool guy. He followed me on Twitter a couple hours later. I followed him back. I looked at his profile. There was an email. I'm a firm believer in a well-written email.
Okay, me too.
And I sent him a very nice, respectful email, letting him know where I was come from. And his
long email or short? Do you keep
medium?
Okay.
Medium. And you don't want to be a gushing fan. I get those sometimes.
You don't
it's like
those.
People get to
like
the point.
5 paragraphs.
People get to the point, you know. And, instead of just, you gotta, in everything, you gotta know how to edit yourself. So his assistant wrote me back, and I got invited to his mansion. And he's kind of like in the club I was playing at in Auckland, they said he's a huge comedy fan, that he comes to the club all the time. And from everybody I talked to, very personable guy. And, he was one of the first people to give money to the Christchurch earthquake victims, when the earthquake happened. He'll do tours of his mansion periodically, every couple of months, where people can pay to have a tour of his mansion, and the money goes to local schools. The guy is very generous and does a lot for the local community. I learned a lot from him that, because I thought it was like Napster, like when the song trading thing.
Right.
He said it wasn't like that. You could not type in a title of a movie and get it. Right. It was just files. It could have been anything.
Right. People were just storing things on his
So it was
site,
like, it was like arresting the post office because someone had done something dubious through the mail, what happened with him. And then, he changed all the rules. He complied with all the rules and changed his format to comply with everything that he was being asked to do for his new website. I think the guy manipulated the power of internet tools when this new technology came out. And, he's an eccentric, interesting guy. And I think he says on my podcast that it's Hollywood that's persecuting him, and specifically the Obama administration, because Hollywood money funded his campaign and everything. But I don't know. I think the opinion is kind of changing in his favor. Now there was just that a couple months ago that 60 Minutes interview, and Vice did a thing on him.
We were talking about that earlier. Yeah, 60 Minutes to this interview.
But I was there first, baby.
You were. That's awesome. 60 Minutes to the interview, but they made him look like a Bond villain, which I think he likes to play that role.
He likes that. And the guy is like 7'2".
Oh, is he that big?
He's like, some people go, he's kind of a fat guy. No, he's enormous. He needs a little girth to that's just his frame. He's like German and Finnish, and he's got a really great spirit, and he's got a really great sense of humor. And I think he's, you were in like the, what do you call it? The money world with trading. There's certain guru people that kind of, I'm sure you're probably one of them, that, can sense trends and know how to, that guy, he knows what's happening with the internet world. And I think he's a very intelligent guy that I think government should probably be working with him to maximize, the use of the internet instead of, persecuting.
Yeah, you look at that raid on his house; it just looked ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And they flew helicopters in, and
the guy's got a wife and a kid, and
He also had a secret room upstairs, but that was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
He had like a double secret.
Come on,
room.
don't you wish every kid dreaming of, designing his own home would have a
and his private bodyguard. This week on London Real, we have astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I wake up every morning astonished that an astrophysicist can have 1.7 million Twitter followers. The cosmos is anything where it's a frontier of human knowledge of how the world works. There's so many forces that want to deny a scientific truth just because it conflicts with their ideology. I thought of myself, because I could wrestle, as sort of a defender of geeks. There is no teacher in any time in my life, from kindergarten through 12th grade and beyond, who ever would have said, he'll go far. And the act of finding out is the lesson, not the lesson itself.
On Sunday, London Real presents Neil deGrasse Tyson, Cosmos.
I'm happy to report that there's an appetite for the cosmos out there.